Right here. So this is my interface, all right? And a blank empty screen. First, let's kind of understand this a little bit. So we got a work area, we have a timeline. This is where my objects wind up. Right now I started a new project and I have my project settings. And I like to start right here, if that's okay. So first off, the first thing I do kind of find in my project settings is this, my project scale. And it's set to centimeters. Now, if I drop down on that, it opens an interesting question. And this still relates to our After Effects. Doesn't matter what scale I use. The default is centimeters. If I was doing logos, motion design like that, it doesn't make a difference whatsoever. If I was compositing a scene in the Avengers movie, yeah, it would make a difference. If I was doing something like that, I'd probably use feet or yards, even miles for big, vast things. But also, we have to think about industrial design. I'm going to make a product. I'm going to make a new great coffee cup for Starbucks, right? Well, I would have to deal with it in a different thing, maybe like centimeters, or I could do my feet or inches. So it really, how you build something in the space you work in. I'm going to stick with centimeters. And do you notice right down here, it says grid spacing 100 centimeters. So I'm looking at 100 centimeters worth of space right now. Okay. Now, I have a 90 frame timeline. The default is, you see right here, it says FPS 30. Now, when you make your documentaries, 24 or 30?
2397.
The drop on that. So if you were doing logos for that or something, you would change your frames right here, right? Now, I want a longer timeline. So there's a couple ways I can achieve it. First thing is, so it's 90, and I see 0, 90. Over here it says maximum time. I'm going to highlight that. I'm going to type 300. And if I click to the right, that's actually 10 seconds, okay? Now, something to notice is down here. When I added the time in, I'm still looking at 90 frames. This is what we could call a preview area. So if I start previewing, it only works in this area. See, I can isolate it down or open it up. All right, I could type in a value. I'm going to open that up this way, or I could do this because I want to preview everything. I could come here to preview maximum time and type 300. Now, my friend, he does video editing for documentaries, so you may not use frames, you might use time code. Here would be an idea called SMPTE, and we could change that in our preferences. So we have the opportunity of changing that on up. Right? So, all right, that's that. There's a lot of other things in here, but here's an important thing, my friend, and it's key interpolation. Now, the default of key interpolation is this. It's an idea called spline. So it says right here, spline interpolation. That means if I move a box from here to here, it's going to have an ease function out. It's going to kind of find this momentum, then it's going to go, then it's going to slow on down. If you're a motion designer, you might be aware of easy ease and all that stuff. Now, that could drive you bananas when you first start. So I like to normally, when I first start, it's to taste, I make it linear, so it just goes. Nice, even pace. So in a linear form, I could deal with that. So I'm going to make this linear, but I could do step, which is kind of like a hold key, right? And that's my setup, basically. Now let me do a save here, okay? And I'm going to pivot back to Adobe After Effects for a second. See? I'm integrating it in, Godfrey. So Command-Tab. Here I am in After Effects. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do composition, new composition. I'm going to make a new comp, and I'm going to call it the 3D scene. I am just so unbelievably excited right now, guys. I feel like going out of the room and screaming. Now, I see I'm set to this size right here. Right? But I got my friend here today that actually uses this guy right here, the 2397. The problem with the 2397 is that pixel aspect ratio for me. All right, so we have different pixels. So do I have another 2397? Well, I could come here to say right here, the 1080, and then I could kind of just use a preset for my 2397. So we're trying to adapt everything so they match seamlessly. I'm sorry. Whenever someone sits on the right of me, it happens. Okay. All right, so right here, I'm going to actually choose this very first one, which would be kind of maybe considered standard definition for HD. It's 1280-720. It has 2997, and I'm going to highlight the duration and make it 10 seconds. And I'll do a save. So right up here, I come right down here, the very first HD, and I highlighted my duration and I gave it a 10-second duration. Right down here. So here's my preset right here, my very first guy in 10-second duration. So that's my settings. Now I know over in Cinema 4D, Command Tab, if I go back to my project settings, I'm in 30 frames a second. Can I type in 29.97? Yes, I can. But it will equate to 29. Now that could be a curveball that we don't want. So I'm going to bring it back to 30 and it should match up fairly good. Drop framing here in Cinema 4D will be a little weird. So you probably, I'm sorry, right there. 24 would be your way. Okay, cool. I got him. Right. So key interpolation project settings. We'll get into more of this stuff, but we need to talk about this. So the width and height of this frame. Good question, Adam. Up under our render menu is edit render settings. And this is really probably one of the more important places to deal with it. Now, this is where I'll probably know if I have a bug. Right? I'll probably know if I have a bug. Right now with the output, it says a standard output. We have lots of ideas here. The preset in default is 800 by 600 based on pixels. Now, I don't really want to do that. I want to do that 1280 by 720 deal. So I can type that in, but you guys, I know you want to find the preset. So if I come over here and click, there's film and video, and I could come on down here and look at this. Right here, it says HDV, HDTV 720, 2997. Now, the one thing that I'm curious about, is it going to have the pixel that I want? So see, 1280, 720 came in. And the pixel aspect ratio is a 1.0. That's a square pixel. So I won't have any warping of stuff as I move along. Now, if you're a graphic designer, what's great about Cinema 4D is you can use it to make print stuff, and you can bring your DPI up. I want to share with you a quick little guy. He's not a little guy, he's a big guy. I could probably find him here on Instagram. He's a friend of mine. He's a Brooklyn guy. Don't judge him. And this is a friend of mine. His name's Richard Bjorge. Does anyone know Richard? I love Richard. He's a great guy. Look at him. He's happy. He recently, over this year, just got involved in Cinema 4D. So you know what Richard does. He builds little models. He photographs them and manipulates them in Photoshop. And you could probably open up the Wall Street Journal today and see him, or Business Weekly, or New York Times, right? So he recently got involved in Cinema 4D. There he is. He's happy that he's doing Cinema 4D. So with him, if he builds something in Cinema, he knows it's going to print. All right, look at these little things. All right, so basically he brings his DPI up, his resolution. So 72 is usually video, but you can get a bigger thing.
Do that after the fact or not? Yeah.
What?
You can do that after the fact.
Oh, of course, but it's always better to get ahead in the game, I find. Adding pixels is a good thing, and with this, it's 3D space. You can add it at any point in time. So you might want to work in a lower DPI, but when you go for your big output, you bring that DPI right on up, and you get that nice high resolution.
And what about the footage that you're importing? It doesn't affect it.
Well, with him, he's just basically doing models and then sending it to Photoshop for manipulation right there. Now, a couple other things when we get into previewing. There's an idea from Maya called playback blasting, where you could play back and view frames. So right here it says frame range current frame. So if I do that play blast thing, it'll only do one frame, or I could do all frames or a preview range. I'm going to take it down to preview range myself, okay? If you are a video editor, you see that you have fields. You can do even and odd fields. So I don't know if you're dealing with interlacing or program. No, yeah, that explained everything. But we still use those ideas. So this little area right here is kind of an interesting area we're going to go in and out of. But we have a setup that's pretty good right now, guys, okay? Now, with that said, I'm just going to close that down. Do a quick little save. Now, let's talk about what's going on. So objects, project, time. Over here are modes. So right now I'm in this mode right here. It's called model mode. But we could do texture mode, work plane, point mode, edge, face, axis moving. So we got a lot of different things. I'm going to leave it in model mode. Up here is where we have our tool sets and our axes. This is for rendering, and these are how we do objects. This, to me, is the main tool, the move tool, which is the shortcut E. Now, it's like in Photoshop, you hit the V, it's in After Effects, you hit the V. So that's my main tool, my main mode right now. Let's put something in the scene and how it works. See that cube right there? click on it. Right? So basically, if you click on the cube, you've made a cube. You are now a 3D artist, right? Get the business card template out. You're in, all right? So here's my cube. Notice it's right here. Now, with the cube, the object is selected. You'll notice we have properties for it. It's like in After Effects, if you have a layer, you open it up to the properties. In video, you have a video clip, you can go into its properties. So this is properties here. And what's going on is I have this cube, and say for example, I just want to kind of manipulate this a little bit. It's set to object mode. So you see right here, it's 200 centimeters by 200 by 200. So I can just kind of drag this up and back. This is all animatable. I can drag this up. I can bring this in. Now, take a look at this. Here's your first hotkey from Adam. Are you ready for a hotkey? Right? Say you get in trouble and it's in left field. If you have an object chosen and you hit the letter S, it centers it in the screen. So S is a great little hotkey. All right, so you can be in all wacky trouble. You choose an object, you hit S. Look at this, S, boom, it brings it to me. All right, here's 200, boom. All right, S, it brings it to me. Here, 200, S. So what are you looking for, my friends? It's just a cube, you just give a little click on it. There you go, hit the letter S for me. Now, the way I'm viewing this at this stage of the game is an object. But maybe I want to see kind of like a wireframe mode or something, or the object with the wireframe mode. So you see up on top, this view which is called perspective has a thing called display. So if I go up to that drop down for display, this is what I got. All right, so display, I'm in garage shading, but I could do with lines. And you might not see the lines, but if I want to add more cross points, or vertices, right here it says X. I'll bring the segments up. And I'll do Y, I'll bring the segments up. So I'll just say like 10, 10, and then 10. So now I'll hit S. We see there's actually kind of a breakdown. And you could actually look at this and say, all right, quick shading. We could do quick shading with the lines. We have constant shading, which kind of takes the presence of it away. We could also come on here, constant shading with lines, and then the hidden line, dun dun dun, the lines, ooh. Wireframe isoparms, box, skeleton. I'm gonna go back to garage shading with lines, but you notice it's gone because I'm in skeleton mode. So I'll go to wireframe mode, it's back. Should we just like save our document and do the stupidest thing in the world so you get that feeling like I did something stupid in 5 minutes in Cinema 4D? Because we're in the full version, Tatiana's ready. So up here are these little drop downs. Like if I click on the square and hold, these are objects I can make. If I click here, I see these are all my splines I can make. Over here, I could click and these are ways I can build stuff. Right here, I could click and find all these things like an array or a meta ball. I'm so excited to be in the full version here, guys. But what I'm going to do is, my name is Adam. I'm going to put an Adam array in here. So here's my Adam array. Now, you notice there's a new object right up here. And what I could do is I could take the cube and merge it into the Adam array. And you see it's working on the segments here. So I'll bring this back. So I'm an animal, put me in a cage. Sorry, that's a little weird. All right, but I'm an active imagination guy. Right, so what I did is I took the cube and I put it in the object. Kind of just roll it right on top of it. All right. Now it's going to be the cube into the Adam array. If you want to get an object out, look at this. I could take cube and take it out just by pulling it down. And then if I put Adam array in, nothing will happen. I'll pull that out. I'll pull the cube into it. Adam array is basically following the segments, and it's making these where they connect the cross points, these balls, and then lines. So if I chose Adam array right now, we see that it has a cylinder radius. You could bring that up, or you could bring that down. And then it has a sphere radius. Oh, that's a great ringtone. That's perfect for the Adam array. You also have subdivisions here. You can knock it back and make these cubes. You can bring them up and make it dense. You can increase your mesh right there. Now, what you did was this, my friend, you put an array in there. So what we're looking for is an Adam array. So I'm going to delete this object. It's right here, the Adam array. is something. Do you guys want to see how this looks rendered? So up under render, you see render view, or even better, Command R. That's what renders it for you, Command R. Now, if I want to navigate around this little guy, you see right over here, at the top of this view, which is perspective, you have this little button here. Allows you to go up and down, left and right. This guy right here allows you to go in and go out. This guy allows you to orbit. Now, I'm not going to get to the last button yet because I never use those guys. On a mouse like this, it's awesome because it's 3 buttons. If I hold down Option and I click on the object with my left mouse button, I can orbit. If I hold down Option and use my right mouse button, I could dolly in and dolly out. And then the wheel in the middle is actually a button. If I do Option and click, it will allow me to go up and down. Hit S, it brings you back in the game. So hold down Option. So just do S on its own.
This is the problem I have. I'm underneath it upside down. I can't.
S. Alright. And now I'm just holding down Option.
Yeah,
And dragging it. See? There you go.
that's moving the camera.
That's moving the
And
view.
and this is moving the object?
Nope, it's moving the view. It's the same exact thing as the Option.
That looks weird. That looks like I'm moving the object.
Well, you're grabbing the object. You're not holding down Option.
Gotcha.
Alright, so if you hold down Option, you just did, that's your control.
No,
So Option drag, now you're orbiting,
and then I got this.
and if you click and hold the button in the middle, like that. If you hit S, it puts you back in the mix. There you go. Now let's talk about this final little thing. Now we're using a perspective view, my friends, but a lot of times you'll find that you need this button right here. And that will bring me to 4 views. All right, so we see up in the upper left-hand side is perspective. This bottom left view is right. This top view over here and the front view. And if you go over it and then click on the upper right side, so here's the top view. I made it active. I hit that button. It's full screen. Okay? We're going to hang out in the perspective view for a while. Is that okay? All right, so that's Atom Array. That's, I guess, exciting. Is it exciting? Yeah, I guess. But what I want to do is this. I'm going to select all this right here. See, I'm dragging a bounding box, and I'm going to hit delete. Oh, no. He deleted already. So just a little bit of